Well, what in tarnation is up, fellas and female fellas? It's May. It means it's time for all of us to pretend we know how to fertilize our lawn and stare at our garage while contemplating whether our initial energy to clean the garage is actually worth doing. Or if I'm just gonna go back inside and play video games while your girlfriend catches fish in Animal Crossing. I mean, it's what a time to be alive, all right? Nowadays, with people finding themselves with more time than ever before, they're looking to new things to try out.
Okay.
New video games, new food, even new alcohol. I'm guilty, all right? But people are also trying something a little new, okay? Car builds. I'm Alex at FI on Instagram, and today we're gonna be talking about a car that has been there for a hot minute, but only recently gained in popularity because, well, we're bored. A car that was named after someone's astrological sign. Anyway, all right, we're talking about a car that has the most unknown starts in the automotive industry and ain't too bad in the old scoot department once you kick it a nickel with a little motor help. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about you wanting to own a Fiat 500 Abarth. And if you're just jumping into this video, konnichiwa. That's hello in Japanese. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe so we can keep making banging videos like this. It is actually quite nice, and this sofa is quite comfortable, all right? And if you've been here since the beginning of Fitment Industries, thank you for your support. Seriously, if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension, be sure to hit us up over at fitmentindustries.com, all right? It's pretty fun. We also have a gallery. You can go check that out. You know, there's a bunch of cars out there. You can see what other people are running. So if you have an aftermarket car, add it to our gallery. It means a lot. It's pretty cool, actually. The Abarth lineage was umareted. That's birthed in Japan, all right? I'm trying my best. In 1949 by a man named Carlo Abarth. Carlo was a man that loved to race. Scooter, motorcycles, pretty much anything with wheels, anything he possibly could. I mean, this dude built his entire empire on his love for racing and competition. He raced a train with a sidecar over 810 miles in 1934 and won, all right? Something interesting about Abarth was that Carlo gained many of his resources, many of his love and networks through his early years of racing and friendships. In 1934 was the year that he married the secretary of Anton Piëch, Ferdinand Porsche's son-in-law. Further down the road, he worked with Ferry Porsche to create his first Cistelia, all right, which was like this weird Porsche car. Didn't really do very good. But hey, what can you do? Carlo, initially a sporting director for Cis Italia, ultimately got his jump start through their downfall. When Carlo took over Cis Italia, he had about 204 sports cars. 2 of them were completed, 3 of them were unfinished, a few motors, and Carlo pretty much just took that and turned it into a Abarth. Now, the company became synonymous with racing success and aftermarket parts in the 50s and 60s, mostly because Abarth was so good at their chosen classes of racing. Abarth, on top of that, was making vehicles that could take on just about anything else out there, with also punching out exhaust pipes and tuning kits and partnering with other brands, with other companies to pretty much help them with their motorsport lines. They were making a good chunk of change and they're doing a pretty good job. Abarth would help the likes of Porsche, Lancia, and pretty much everyone else during the early years, and Carlo Abarth really just never stopped pushing, and the dude was an absolute legend in the 50s when it came to the racing community. This man ate nothing but apples to lose 30 kilograms so he could set an acceleration record because the cockpit was too small for him. Just straight up ate apples. That's all. Like what an absolute madman. In the 70s, Carlo would sell the Abarth to Fiat to become Fiat's racing arm. It was during this time that you could see things like the 124 Abarth, the 131, and more pop up into production. The purchase wasn't necessarily a surprise since Carlo knew Fiat since the 50s, and over time, Carlo had, well, he got hit with the old age stick, you know, and he just saw the opportunity to see the brand survive. And so he made the difficult decision to do that because he really wanted to see that lineage continue. Abarth was Alt-F4'd in 1981. Got the good old Control-Alt-Delete buttoned. The name would be used for the performance marks in the Fiat nomenclature, but not as its own brand for over 36 years. That's 3.5 decades there, bud. That was a long time. Oh, put it on the shelf, left that be. Like a fine wine, a little bit of a fine Jack Daniels if you could. But there's an underdog story, okay? Because in 2007, Abarth was re-umarted That's not Japanese, that's just me not knowing the word anymore, right before the USA found out it had no money. Abarth was reestablished as an independent unit under the Fiat name, focusing on the passenger cars and light commercial vehicles. With Fiat's massive backing of resources, the Abarth got underway, and in that relaunch, the Fiat Abarth 500 was born. Using a 1.4-liter turbocharged motor, the Fiat Abarth 500 came out looking like a snack. Still looks like a snack. 5-speed transmission, had a low pro suspension with electric steering and a bunch of little accent pieces to make it look super fast. And it was set to go. The car went from 0 to 60 in 8 seconds and topped off at 127 miles an hour. Not so super fast, but it was fun. It was taken from the original Fiat 500 of the late 50s. The Abarth was meant to be light, small, and quick on its feet, and it did just that. The Fiat 500 Abarth took second in the open division for the Targa Newfoundland, which gave plenty of racers a raised eyebrow to this little bean that had fun little colors on it, that was running around with like little red mirror caps. It was a good time. It was actually almost of an uplift. But for all intents and purposes, the Fiat 500 Abarth never really took off in a way that made most people in the younger modification community notice. It was just like that's kind of neat. And that was pretty much it. But we're not here to talk about the history of the Fiat 500 Abarth, depending on how you say it and if you have an accent or not. If you want history, go on over to your TI-87, look up those stored answers that you put in there for your test, because that's the only place that you're gonna get it. We're here to talk about you actually wanting to own one of these things. So you want a Fiat 500 Abarth. Well, set down your astrology book and grab your favorite minion meme, because we're about to talk about what it's like to actually own one of these little guys, okay? Just take a look at its little front end. Look at how cute it is. It got a little it's got the little soft headlights and nice little sweet headlights. They're like innocent headlights. The Fiat 500 Abarth was a car that you could snag for under $10,000 right now with little to no mileage on it, which leaves a lot of us scratching our beards except me, because I get sad when I say that. The Fiat 500 Abarth does have some interesting quirks about it that make it so affordable for people like you and for people like me. Mostly it was built by Fiat, which is a company that's known to not always have the longest lasting parts in the whole wide world. Because of cost savings, the paint can fade relatively easily. Door handles have this weird quirk of sometimes falling off, and shocks in these cars don't last super long because of how stiff they are. People often talk about replacing these almost as much as their tires on these cars, and they eat through tires. They'll leak a little oil all the time, and they can have some electrical issues every once in a while. But to be fair, it was and is a new $25,000 sports coupe car that came with a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine from Fiat. I mean, none of it should be that much of a surprise. They are best with a warranty and are an absolute blast to drive. Since they don't come with a muffler in some models, they sound wicked cool stock, and even better once you start throwing some intakes and a little bit of tune action at it. Not only that, but the burble and tune on these cars can make it sound almost like mini STs. A lot of people think that it sounds like a miniature version of an exotic car. While not everyone loves them for either their failure on the reliability side or the fact that they eat brakes like pancakes, they are cool looking cars, especially with the right fitment. You'll see a lot of people on these cars running OZs or Koenigs or even NKs. BFGs and Michelins are paired with either BC Racing coilovers or air suspension, and you're pretty much set. It's like an angry Beetle that sounds like the free-to-play version of a Maserati in all of the right ways. These cars, they just look so they look so neat though, like look at them. Like they're so small with these big ass doors, and it's a hatch that just stops, just comes crashing down, and they embody what it means to be a little Euro like hot hatch. I mean, there's no doubt that these are fun cars, and if you've ever driven one, you would know what I'm talking about. Even though they may not be inherently fast, they are fun. And sure, they have issues, but what budget car doesn't? One of the toughest things you may need to deal with is the fact that they have a naturally soft look to them, and when you've got a bunch of younger male enthusiasts that have an extremely fragile testosterone state trying to constantly have a body measuring contest, you may catch a little flack for having this car, since it is a little bit softer. But they should be giving you a hard time for having door handles possibly fall off, not the fact that they got big old headlights, because those things are neat as hell. You can do pretty much anything to the Fiat 500 Abarth, and although it's maybe not the most reliable car in the world, it is a fun one. It's just more like heroic. So what do you think about the Fiat 500 Abarth? If you want to see some gnarly Fiat 500s, go check out our gallery, because there's a bunch of them out there, and I was pretty floored seeing some of these builds people have done. And of course, if you're looking for wheels, tires, suspension, be sure to check us out over at fitmentindustries.com. Fiat 500 Abarth, is like the combination of a Focus ST and a Volkswagen Beetle paired with a little bit of unreliability-ness from an E55 AMG, but then also paired with some Mini Cooper funky tech. Like that's what is it? Captain Planet. It's like when Captain Planet comes together, except not as wholesome. Not as much of a Saturday cartoon, if you will. A little bit more of a, I really hope my dad doesn't catch me watching this. Anyway, I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. We will see you later. Peace.